Welcome to another episode of the Cinema and Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Battisto. Today's guest is Jimmy Medeiros, who is the head coach for Birmingham High School. I want to say they've been in the top 10 the past couple of years, but really have been a pretty strong program on the rise for the past decade, winning multiple LA City section titles and have only been improving every single year. Really excited to share this conversation with you guys and hope you guys enjoy it. All right, I'm gonna start recording. What I have this bad habit where we just start going
Yeah.
and I forget to record, but I kind of want to go a couple different directions. I know about the acting stuff. I definitely want to get into that. But I feel like we gotta start with maybe some of the more recent stuff. How is training and getting ready for Worlds? I think I read that you lost, was it 58 pounds? Is that right?
Oh no, 48.
Dude,
48.
that's a lot, man.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
yeah. I've done it every year now, so for like 8 years. The first year I did it perfect. I did it 5 months. I lost like half a pound a week, and I literally planned out the entire weight loss journey. And then as I've gone on, I've pushed myself farther and farther away from doing it the way I want to. With the confidence I think of doing it, I started to get ahead of myself of being like, oh, I could lose as much as I want. Yeah. And most I don't know, and we as coaches, I think know a lot of the kids do that stuff a lot, and they're
Yeah.
like, I can make it. I've done this, I've done that, and I fell into that same trap myself. And last year, I was like, I'm gonna lose 40. I think I lost 46 pounds in 30 days. Um, and I was like, people were like, that's not possible. I was like, bet. And and so I did it. I did it, and then and it was rough. I mean, it was hard. I calculate my weight loss journey per day, and I give myself a daily goal, a weekly goal, and the monthly goal. Something I found out about myself is that I can do anything in 30 days. Like, I will be the most disciplined person you've ever met in your life within a 30-day period. And I can literally mentally and physically force myself to do anything in 30 days because I know in 30 days that's up, and then I'll be fine. I can push myself for the next 20 or 10. So yeah, this year I did 2 months. I gave myself more time, and I lost 48 in 68 days, basically.
It's kind of crazy how it's like when you first start like learning how to lose weight and manage it and stuff, it's like,
Yeah,
you kind of suck at it and then over time you get better at it.
yeah,
And then sometimes when you get better at it, you go back to like, oh, I can do this, last
yeah.
minute and be fine.
And I found everybody a lot last year. I didn't do so good at the Worlds, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you cut too much weight and this and that." And you know, I I, I felt okay. Like when I cut a lot of weight, and I was obsessed with losing the weight. So I ultimately I found out I felt like I didn't do as good because mentally I was consumed with losing weight. And we talk to our kids a lot about like, hey, don't get beat by the scale. Don't act like you're winning a championship by making weight. Like that's not the battle. Like the battle is wrestling. And I fell into that trap also. I felt like I'm like I can do this, and I'm challenging myself, and I did it, and I made the weight, but I wrestled like terrible. And it wasn't because I felt terrible. I think it was because I mentally I was like, I got to work out this many times. I got to eat this. I got to drink that. And I wasn't like, hey, how am I getting better? How am I focused on my technique? What am I doing to improve my performance? And how do I play to my best qualities and all those things? So um, that was a big lesson I took from last year. And I really wanted to change that. And I really wanted to focus on my mindset. And it's such an interesting thing because, it's, I think why I love wrestling still at, an elite age is because I'm forced to do these things that I'm talking about to the kids. I'm forced to like have the pitfalls and know, from my past experiences and many that I've seen, like to learn from them and improve. And I think I got a valuable lesson taught to myself, by myself, was
Yeah.
that I also needed to focus on the process, on how am I getting better technically? And I was really overwhelmed and consumed with winning too much. And I was like, I thought I was like winning, winning, winning. I want to win. I want to win. and I stopped thinking about how I'm wrestling, what I'm doing, my plan, my strategy, all that kind of stuff kind of went out the door. And I'm like, I beat this guy before. I've seen that guy. That guy lost to this guy, and I beat that guy. And I think we've seen that trap happen a lot where nowadays the kids are on their phone, they're looking up everybody, and they're, this kid done this and this, and you're giving people credit that they don't deserve, or
Yeah.
psyching yourself out. So yeah, I think I went in with the whole, I changed my training. I changed the way I did some stuff, and I really changed the way I was thinking. I changed, like, I remember, like, this year I was, getting ready for my match, and I kept telling myself, I'm pumped, I'm excited. I get a chance to go out there and just do this stuff I've been working on for the last, 5 months, and go out there and try this new move that I've been working on, um, and not worrying about winning so much. Like, let me go out there and score some points. And ultimately, I end up hitting a move I've never hit before in my life. Um, and I was really pumped about it. And I was like, man, I can't believe I did that. Like, I literally hit a move like I never thought I'd hit. I'm like, and I hit like basically a foot sweep in my bronze medal match to take the lead or to tie it up. And I had just been practicing because we had a judo black belt come into our gym,
Nice.
and the kids were like not receptive to the judo very much, and they were like they didn't really want to learn judo, and I'm like, dude, this could really help your wrestling and gives you another element of attack. And so I was learning, and when he was there teaching, I was like, oh, I was eating it up. I'm like, how about this? And I was trying to work with them in more wrestling situations and tie-ups to like help us transition the gap.
Yeah.
And the stuff he showed and that I learned from him, I was like, I was doing it in practice against the kids, and there's a few kids I just kept hitting it on, and I was like, man, I like this. And I was smoking them with this foot sweep. And when I got to that position, I'm down, 5-1 in the bronze medal match in freestyle. And I got to double underhooks, and the guy thinks I'm going to throw him. And I'm like I go, I'm going to foot sweep this guy if he steps in at all. And if he
Yeah.
doesn't just back out. And then he like stepped in like he was going to throw me. And I went, whap, and hit him. And it was so clean. And I was like, and I was pumped. And I feel like, that had a lot to do with my mental like ability to be open to go out there and do this stuff. And I'm thinking about all this different stuff that I'm setups and tie-ups and misdirections and things like that I really am like, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I find myself even getting wrapped up in holding good position and
Yeah.
staying in a smart position to where I'm not going to get taken down. I'm not going to give up points, but also I'm also not scoring. So it's like I don't want to get caught in this trap of where I'm not doing anything and also not wrestling up to my ability, which is one of the things my coach said in an earlier match. I was getting mad because the guy was headbutting me and different things, and he's like, "Stop letting this guy wrestle to your level." He's like, "You're way better. Light him up." And I was like, "Dang, you're right. Like I need to just go out there and score points."
Yeah, how do you take that and you kind of capture that and kind of teach that to the people on your team? Because I feel like it's very easy to fall into that trap because you're
Yeah.
wrestling to not lose and you're just trying to get comfortable. But like,
Mhm.
how do you actually acquire skills? You got to go hit it in a match. Like
Yeah.
you can do it, you can drill it a million times, but until you do it on somebody that, isn't expecting it, that's trying to wrestle you back, it's like it's hard to do it. So how do you maybe take that mentality? And how do you kind of teach it to your guys? Like I feel like just competing and kind of being the example is a good way to go about it too.
I do. I think too, like they're all watching. They watch every time I'm wrestling. I
Yeah.
was getting text messages from kids on my team, and they're like, "Hey, coach, why aren't you doing this? And why aren't you doing?" I'm like, uh, I'm like, oh, because of this, that, or sometimes I'm like, you're right. I need to do a little bit more of that. Like, my next match, I'm gonna try to work that in. But I think it definitely helps though that like my immediate experience um they can in wrestling I think we all kind of have experienced it the way that I mean the boys and girls are different too for sure, but the guys especially are like, oh well, if you can do this to me, I believe it works. Even though you're like, you're not the example for everybody, and so what if I can hit this move on you? But still that's the way they think. Like So when they watch me wrestling at the world level, they're like, "Oh, he's right. That does work." And I think it gives me credibility for that. I mean, we all know too, like I could say stuff and then I have another coach um come in and say the same thing and then they're like, "Oh, that makes sense." And you're like, dude, I've been saying the same thing. I had that
Yeah.
happen with my dad. Like my dad will come into practice. He comes in like a few times a month and he like works with the kids and they're like, "Man, why didn't you teach it like that?" I'm like, "Dude, it's the same move. He showed me, I showed you. Like it's the same thing."
Yeah.
Well, you never said it like that. I'm
Well,
like,
sometimes that's good to have. It's just like
yeah,
a fresh set of eyes and a fresh voice that can say something that you've already said, but just in a
yeah,
different way. And
yeah,
I don't mind it. Like
yeah.
I think like when I was a younger, I'm still relatively young, but when I was a younger coach, like fresh out of college, like I would say things and kids would pick it up quicker.
Hmm.
But now it's like we got Trent Tracy, who was like our first state champ. He's
Oh
on
yeah,
staff, so he's
yeah.
like, Trent will say something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." I'm like, all right. Like I mean, I already told you that, but
Yeah.
that's okay. Like I just want our guys to get better, you know?
Yeah, Mark Halverson, who was my club coach at CYC when I was growing up,
Yeah.
he would always have me come in the off season. He's like, "Oh, can you do like a clinic for me just for a day?" And he's like, "I want you to tell them about this and tell them that." And like he'd have a whole list of things he wanted me to tell them because he's like, "They'll listen to you." I'm like, "Why are they gonna listen to me and not you?" And he's like, "This is how it works." Like I was like, "All right." So yeah,
Yeah, it's like he already knows.
he
Like,
did. Oh yeah, he knew all the time. Yeah, like, I remember one year I was coaching at Fargo and he wasn't there. And he was texting me the whole time and like sometimes I didn't know what he's texting me and I'm like reading it and I'm like and then the kids I would say he said 21. I don't know what 21 is. Is that a code for something? He's like 2-on-1. And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." Yeah." And then I was like, "Of course, 2-on-1. Yeah, that makes sense." But yeah, he definitely knew every aspect of it.
sometimes that texting stuff doesn't translate
Not
very well.
always, no. Yeah, and when you're like a media, I'm like watching the match and I'm like yelling at the kid. I'm looking at my phone, being like, "What does he mean by that?" And then we had the 30-second break, and the kids knew, like he knows them. So like he always liked me coaching his kids because he knew I would tell him just whatever he said, and
Yeah.
and I knew them too a little bit. So.
So when you would go back and do camps for Halversons and stuff, would that be like during college?
No, no. Well, from college all the way through now, like I mean, well, not now, but you know, like when I was coaching, he like have me come out sometimes, like if I was visiting my family,
Yeah.
or we go to his tournament, for the Halverson. Now it's the Halverson Memorial, but
Okay. Was it Mission? That's not Mission San Jose. What was the one that was he's Halverson now, but what was it before?
oh, it used to be World Duels
Okay.
or the Conquer Cup.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, it was the Conquer Cup, and we had international teams, and it was basically like a World Cup for Greco in Concord, and it
No
was like
way.
nothing else you've ever seen. Like Bill Martell started it a long time ago at CYC, and then when I was a kid, me and my teammates used to wrestle, and we go overseas and we'd wrestle like in Germany and Amsterdam and stuff like that, and then they would come out for the Conquer Cup and then we'd have duels against Germany, Hungary, like different like countries, and the seniors would wrestle. Unbelievable. I mean, I've seen so many awesome matches. I even seen Cale Sanderson once when he was in, I think he might have been in high school. He literally wrestled the senior level Greco tournament at the Conquer Cup.
No way.
Him and one of his brothers. Yeah, I was like, why are these young guys wrestling in this tournament? But man, it was awesome. I mean, we would do clinics the day before, and I remember Fernando Esquid, he's a two-time Cuban Olympic champ. He came and showed us clinics and like I got a singlet for him. I gave him $20 for a singlet. I was like, oh my gosh. But that was a lot of money for them, like and then this guy Gani Alou from France, he showed this high gut lift that I just loved. And like we were constantly getting exposed to like guys at the top level because of the work that Bill Martell and Mark Halverson were doing at CYC. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can't imagine like being able to have that kind of experience as like a high schooler, just all these different high level guys, these different international guys. I feel like people say like wrestling, and I think to some extent it is, but
Yeah.
from everybody that I've heard that's talked about international styles of
Mhm.
wrestling, just different mentalities, and I think if you can take all that stuff and add it to your game, like that just
Yep.
makes you so much better.
And wrestling on the veteran level too, it's different because I feel like a lot of people in the US, they don't really respect the veteran level as much. But like when you go there, like I'm talking Olympic champ, Olympic medalist,
Yeah,
they're acting like this is their best tournament they've ever won. And they don't care that it's a veteran slash senior, like they don't care what level. They want a
yeah,
world championship, they want a world championship. And like for them it's serious. And one of the coolest things I think I get from wrestling at that level is like I get to see what's hot in the world level, um, from the older guys to the younger guys. Like everybody in Greco's doing this lift, and I'm like, oh wow, this is like the new lift, or here's the new defense people are doing when you try to lift them like this. And so it really helps me to have a reference point, and I think
yeah.
have like a maybe like an edge on the higher level of wrestling, and I can take it back and break it down and use some of it for the kids in high school or kids that are making world teams. And it definitely helps the training and like the focus.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think not just for I think wrestling against other high schoolers in California, but
Yeah.
you have guys on your team that are making world and different age group world teams and for both styles. Like how cool is that?
It's
You,
pretty awesome.
you do have a lot of guys that I feel like are like multicultural, like they come from different backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of interesting hearing you kind of already have some experience just being around some international guys. What's that kind of training dynamic like in terms of just kind of coaching them? I know for some of them maybe English isn't their first language. Like what goes into that?
There's a lot, I mean, things have changed a lot over the years. I remember in like 2012, I had this kid named David. He was pretty awesome. He came from Armenia and he was really good. And he didn't speak any English when he first came. He was like a freshman and he didn't know anything. We had a Russian kid on our team at the time, uh, and he spoke like he was from here, but he didn't speak great Russian. It was like okay Russian. And then so the Armenian kid spoke Armenian and Russian, but Russian was not his first language. So both their Russian wasn't great.
Yeah.
And he was the only translator I had at the moment. So it was like, I'd be trying to tell him something, and then he'd be like, "Oh," he'd call the other kid over. He'd be like, "Ellie, come here, come here," and then he'd come over, and then they would talk, and I'd talk to him, and then he later on tells me that the translation wasn't great, and he lost a lot of stuff. But he spoke wrestling, like which to me was awesome. Like if I had trouble, like philosophy stuff was hard for him to understand, but moves, wrestling, he got like I could show him a move and he'd watch it and then he'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. And he'd do it. But now we have, you know, we have like 12, 13 Armenian kids on our whole high school team, Kyrgyzstan kids,
Yeah.
Ukrainian kids, Kazakhstani kids. And like it's funny too, because no matter where I go, in California or a lot of places, a lot of people are like, "Oh, where are you getting all these, kids?" And people are literally acting like I have some kind of like overseas inside track on,
Yeah.
like I have a pipeline coming from these other countries, shipping kids in or something. I'm like, this is our demographic. In LA, our demographic is Hispanic and Eastern European. That's just what the culture of the area has become.
Yeah.
There's the Armenian population from Hollywood to Glendale to Burbank to North Hollywood to Van Nuys is unbelievable. I mean, there's so many Armenian people, Eastern European people, like Kyrgyzstan, Ukrainian. As people come to the US, I mean, they come to LA typically. And
Yeah.
so that's like the first place people go. And then, and because we have embraced a lot of the people in different cultures, I feel like people are now kind of gravitating towards us, and towards our program because a lot of the culture has sports is a serious thing, so they
Right.
take it very serious, which is the difference between when I started, it was like 90% Hispanic community, and there was like the trickle of, different cultures. And a lot of the Hispanic culture was difficult because not a lot of people had a reference of wrestling or
Right.
knew what wrestling was. It was like, oh, a luchadora or like
Yeah.
WWE kind of stuff. And so it was kind of a battle fighting that, trying to get parents to like get on board. But when I moved to LA in like 2008, I didn't coach for a while. I did the acting stuff, but in 2010, 11, I got lured into coaching on accident. And then when I started, I had this dream of being like, I can make this place a powerhouse
Yeah.
because it's overflowing with talent. And it's just not known for wrestling, and so there's not a ton of rich wrestling experience in the area. And the kids that are, graduating from here and coming back and helping aren't at a higher level. So like, it's not increasing, but I felt like I could change that. Um, and over time, I feel like I've definitely made a huge impact on that scene.
No, for sure. And it's been for sure gradual. Like I know it's taken a long time. Started in 2010, 15
Yeah.
year project. Does it feel like it's been a long time or has it
Yes.
gone by? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, there's been thousands of kids that have come through the program, and uh, over the years. And like I remember, because me and my buddy Sam Fragoza, he wrestled at Fresno State and then at CBU. When I moved to LA, he had just graduated from CBU, and he was an All-American there, and he's a singer, unbelievably talented singer. And so I was like, come move in with me. And he was going to do the singing thing. And I was acting. And so he moved in with me. And then, you know, when you're not around wrestling people, it's easy to kind of like not think about it or not
Yeah.
be involved. But now all of a sudden I have somebody in my house who I've wrestled with, who I coached, who um, mentored. And so like me and him, we used to wrestle all the time at the house. And then he was like, oh, let's go find some high school kids to wrestle with. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And then we called like 7 schools and none of them had a team.
No way.
Yeah. And it was like, and a lot of them have teams now, but most of them didn't when we were looking for a place to wrestle. And so um yeah, we literally called every school around where we lived. And then, oh, hold on a second. So we called all the different places, and then we finally found the first one that had a team, which was Birmingham. And then I didn't go in there. Sam actually went in and he talked to the coach, and the coach is now actually a great friend of mine. But originally he was like, "You guys want to run the team?" Like, and then Sam was like, "Of course, that's a great idea. That'd be awesome." And he didn't even ask me. He comes home and he's like, "Guess what?" And I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, we're now running a team. We're the coaches of a team. I'm like, what team? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh yeah, I went and talked to the coach. I told him how great we are and all this stuff. And he's like, sure, come in and run the team. So
Oh
then
my
me and
gosh.
him started that way, and we like literally together as a unit decided to be one guy because we were so busy doing other
Right.
stuff. We are like, okay, I'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you go Tuesday, Thursday. And then we were like, we'll set up a schedule. And we started like debating on like top and bottom. We really fought about bottom a lot. And we were like, no, we should be doing ankle races. I'm like, no, we should be doing elbow bag. We should be doing natural stand up. And we were just
Yeah.
like sit outs. And so we just literally,
No, you're good. Sorry that I got chihuahuas, so sometimes they're just gonna
yeah.
go off. Go ahead.
So we negotiated basically how we were gonna run systems and how we were gonna coach a team. And we found some by trial and error. We realized after like the first few months, like we're only doing neutral and our kids sucked on bottom. And we're like, how are we getting pinned so much? And you guys don't know how to bridge. And it was a hard thing. And you know, me and him were like, we're gonna be so good. This area is not great. We're gonna
Yeah.
kill it. We're gonna win this section every year. And we overestimated the kids and how good they were, and we underestimated the competition, and we overestimated our abilities. And so, my cousin, he had told me he was coaching at the time, and he was like, I told mom, oh, we're gonna do this, and I got this kid and that kid, and he was like, can I give you some advice? And I was like, sure, absolutely. And yeah, and he's my younger cousin, so I was like, yeah, whatever, shoot, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, lower your expectations. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's gonna help you if you just lower your expectations. Uh,
Yeah.
they'll let you down for sure. And I was like,
What great advice, man. Like, because I
it
think
was,
that's something that, like, I mean, I've gone through it. You've gone through, like, every young coach at some point
yeah,
is like, oh, like, we're gonna be so great. I'm gonna teach them all like the cool moves. Like, we're
yeah,
gonna just crush it right away, and it's just not realistic.
yeah. And like, I had we had talked about this at the beginning, and I was like, I'm gonna win this section 10 times in a row, you know. And my first year coaching, we were like assistant coaches. And then we got eighth in the section. And the previous year we got an eighth. So I was like, I don't know if we even helped. and, and then the second year Sam had left, and then I was kind of like left holding the bag. And then I became the head coach, and then we got second in the section. So I was like, oh, okay. And then the following year we got first. So I was like, oh shoot, this was easy. Like, ultimately it felt like it came together pretty quickly. And now I'm gonna win every year. And then we went like 5, 6 years without winning. And I got second like 5 years in a row. And
Dang.
I was like, man. And then I like to me, my goal was never to win the LA City section. Like I was always trying to win state. I was always trying to get kids to place, get kids to wrestle in college, try to get kids to the next level. And I think ultimately one of the things that changed my thinking was I was like, all of it's too small,
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want to put kids on world teams, and I want to have the best kid in the country. I want to train kids to wrestle internationally, to wrestle at the top level. I want them to wrestle in college. I want them so I started shooting higher and changing my approach a little bit. And then I think when I did that, like, um, I started selling the kids on a bigger picture. And I
Right.
think a lot of it was too that they never had the confidence or seen themselves doing things like that. And a lot of the kids when we started were like, I can't go to college. I can't wrestle. I'm not that good. And you're like, you are, and or maybe not D1, maybe D2, maybe JC, like, but you can keep wrestling. And I think one of the messages too I keep telling kids is like, if you love wrestling and you really want to wrestle, keep wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't stopped. And people keep telling me all the time, they're like, "Oh, when are you gonna stop wrestling?" I said, "When they got a toe tag on my foot, that's it." Like, I'm like, as long as I can do it, I'm gonna do it. Like, and so, yeah,
Well, I mean, that's kind of why I think coaches are for. It's like not just showing the technique and the skill and setting up the training cycles and
Mhm.
stuff. It's like you got to believe in them so that they can believe in themselves, And I
Right,
think about every mentor that you've had. It's got to start with trying to change your perception on life a little bit.
yeah,
It's like you can do this if you want to. Like, do you want to do this?
yeah.
Okay, let's figure out how to get you there.
And I think too, like, we're talking about mindset and stuff, and I know there's a lot of like stuff out there about
Yeah,
it, which I think there should be. And I think that's one of the cool things that have changed about our sport and the evolution. But I really truly believe that like there's so much in perspective. If I just shift my perspective and turn the room to a different angle, and I look at it from a different way,
yeah,
all of a sudden everything is different. I had a girl who's really good, Katie Gomez. She made before she ever made a world team. She was like doubting herself. She was like, oh, we were gonna go to U17 and wrestle. And she's like, do I have to wrestle juniors or U20? And I was like, we got to change your perception. Like I said, you mean do you get to wrestle juniors?
Yeah.
Because I said, guess what? You're not going to get the opportunity to be the underdog for very long, I don't feel. And I said, and when you look at it like, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that, or you can shift the perspective to, I get the chance to do this. I get a chance to be an underdog or the younger guy or somebody who has nothing to lose. And I go, you may not always be in that position. So take advantage of it, love it, enjoy it, embrace it. Sometimes too, the kids get really good and they don't want to wrestle. And
Yeah.
it
They're afraid to
happens.
put it on the line and
Oh
go and
yeah,
compete. And
and
that's
I get
probably
it.
the most frustrating thing.
They have a lot to lose, and I get it. And with all the social media and people be posting and
Yeah.
commenting and um, but the truth is that like if my goal, and this I want to put this on a t-shirt somewhere, but if my goal is to get better, what I need most is to lose. And I feel like sometimes we lose sight of the bigger goal, and
Right.
that is improving, getting better. Like I'm still trying to get better. I'm still looking for the right setup and the right evolution of my shot, and how to finish it when this guy's doing this or that. And but I'm also like I'm a technique junkie. I feel like
Yeah.
I meet people like that, and we could just talk for hours like about this
Yeah.
move, that move, and I'm just one of those guys who I just love watching, talking, seeing, experiencing new technique. And when we at the gym, we're bringing in new people at least once a month to show us stuff. And I'm like, the only person that probably learns stuff is me. um
That's
but
fine.
but
You
I'm
take
like,
it later.
and I'll re-show it down the road, and I'll take stuff that I really like that each person shows, and I'll even reference them. I'll be like, oh, if you guys remember when Stefan Micic was here, he was saying to finish this outside shelf like this, and so like stuff like that, I'll remember. And I love the technique so much, so I'm like, if nobody gets anything but me, that's okay.
Yeah, it's a win.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how my relationship with Carlo Franciati kind of started.
Uh-huh.
Is you know Carlo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It was like during COVID. I was at a different school. Our teams would train together, and we would just talk wrestling all the time. And I kind of realized like how far back I was technically when I would start talking to him. And like, dude, this is like all the stuff I've been thinking about and like
Yeah.
kind of like processing. And like he already kind of knows it and like has
Yeah.
layers above that. And I'm like, dude, I gotta be around this guy more.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like you want to surround yourself people with that have that kind of similar mindset of improvement and focusing on
Yeah.
the process. I feel like it's hard for kids sometimes though. Like if it's not something that's tangible, like
Mhm.
yeah, we all want to get better, and that's
Yeah.
something that's true for us. But it's like for the kids, it's like, yeah, but that seems like it's so far away for some of
Yeah.
them. How do you kind of flip that mentality a little bit, or is it something that's like you can't really fix it? You just kind of have to roll with it, like put something tangible in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the goal. I think, like, for instance, I get these kids all the time who they want to like sprint before they can walk.
Yeah.
They're like, I had a kid a few years ago. He used to get upset when he'd see like the top guys winning, and he's like, why am I not like the top guy? Like, why am I not good enough to wrestle with these guys? I go, man, you've only wrestled for 2 years. Like, relax. Like, calm down. Like, there's a process. And
Yeah.
I know you want to be winning state after your first 2 years of wrestling or your first 3 years or 4 or 5, but everybody has their own journey.
Yeah.
And honestly, like if you work hard, if you have talent, if you have speed, strength, all these different elements, yeah, they can help you improve faster. If you don't have them, you got to make up for them elsewhere, or it might take longer. Obviously, wrestling IQ, I think, is the most important for
For
quick
sure.
improvement. But what I'm trying to tell kids that are getting frustrated with like the journey or the process is I'm trying to tell them, you want to get better so bad, let's really focus on getting better then. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, let's have weekly goals. Let's have daily goals. And they're like, what do you mean daily goals? I'm like, what's your goal for today? And they're like, do good, win my matches. I'm like, no.
Win practice.
Yeah, win practice. I'm like, dude, no. I said, I'm working on this new setup to my high crotch. And I really want to get this set up, and I want to get to that high crotch. And so then today I'm saying my goal is to hit this setup, get to that tie up, and attempt my setup 10 times. And maybe I have three different matches. So within those three matches, I got to hit it as many times as I can. And I'm going to try to hit it against somebody maybe that is not as good and I know I could probably get it on. And then somebody maybe who is going to give me a challenge. And then
Right.
somebody who's too good. And then if I tempted 10 of them, I win today.
For sure.
And then tomorrow, maybe I got to get one and or get two or, one of those things. And so um that's the challenge I think that we're constantly up against and I feel like helping them have a tangible goal and having a smaller goal um is I think the key to changing their focus a little bit. Like, okay, I want to win state. Who doesn't, right? That's a bigger picture. Now let's put that one aside and
Yeah.
let's focus on this month, this week, this day. And how do I win practice today? Like without actually just beating everybody because I'm
How
not.
do I accomplish my goal
Yeah.
today? Yeah.
Yeah. And the goal has nothing to do with winning and losing. Like the goal has to do with the process, right?
Yeah.
And um I want to get obsessed with the process. And I even told the kid today because we had a open gym, open mat today, and a couple classes, and one of his kids was like, "Oh, I really want to get better, and this and that." And I said, "Well, he's a very smart kid, so I was like, think about it like school. Like, how would you ace a test, right?
Yeah.
Take notes. You're gonna study your notes. You're gonna read up on all the things. You may look it up online." I said, "Do that with practice, and do that with the technique." You're like, hey, you're showing a move. I'm gonna set up my phone and film today's move, and I'm gonna watch it. And maybe if I ask you a question and open that, like right now, I'm gonna film what you're saying, what the answer is, and then I'm gonna take that and then I'm gonna make notes and be like, here's a list of the things that I really liked of what we did today, or here's the elements of the setup that he said were most important. Don't want to forget those. And then
Right.
now I'm gonna go apply them in a practice and try them, and then when I struggle, I'm gonna go back to my notes and be like, oh, what did I write here? What did I miss? And then I watched a video of what he was saying. Oh, I wasn't going forward, or I wasn't emphasizing the penetration step and things like that. And then I go, you become a student of the sport and the technique and your style. I go, you're going to get better at a crazy rate because
For sure.
now you're investing in your actual process, just like you would in a camp. And why do we pay for camps and all these things? I mean, I love when parents are like, I'm gonna send them to this camp and that camp. I'm like, it's a waste of money. Like, you know what I mean? If they're not like studying everything that's being taught, like, are they really getting anything from it? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what's a good camp in your mind? Because I've been to a few different
Yeah,
ones, and I was a staff member for J Rob the last year they had it.
yeah,
I used to do the Cardinal intensive camps, and I love those because it's like when I was in high school, it's like training
yeah.
like I was in college. And I've done some technique camps. Like what's like the best generalized camp you think for most high schoolers?
I was a big camp kid. Every summer I did 5, 6 camps. One year I did Hitchcock, and my dad left me at the camp and all summer, and I worked in the kitchen for
Nice.
half of the thing, and still wrestled every session. But I didn't really feel like I learned a ton. Not because of the clinicians and not because of the camp itself, but it was because I was a 12-year-old kid, you know what I mean? And my focus was more about like, oh, what are we gonna go on a hike? And you know, uh, you know,
What are we gonna eat?
yeah, what's for lunch? And so honestly, I'm not a big fan of camps. My cousin went to the J Rob, and I'm like, you went to an intensive camp for what? He's like, oh, so I can, mentally. And I'm like, but you didn't train for anything. I'm like, so you
Yeah.
were running up hills so you could get used to running and training and mentally like change your outlook, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. And if that changes you as a person or as like a competitor and taught you something about yourself, that's great. But like I used to do a training camp every year before Fargo, and it was like a 2-week intensive in Oregon. They called the Cobra Camp, and a lot of great people
Nice.
had gone to that camp. I love that camp the most. I mean, not that I learned anything specific, but it was for a purpose. I was training for Fargo, and we trained for Fargo, and I got better for Fargo, and like I felt like that paid dividends. Opposed to like a fun summer camp. And I ran a bunch of summer camps when I was in college. I had like my own camp, and I had 60 kids a week, and I just tried
Nice.
to make it fun. And some of the kids were like, "This is the funnest time I ever had," and I'm like, "I'm glad. I'm glad
That's
that
great.
wrestling was a part of your awesome experience." Um, and if it's you're going for them to have fun and have a summer camp, I think make them have fun. Like let them enjoy wrestling. But to learn, if the goal is to learn and get better, I don't know that camps are really the thing. Like
For sure.
I'm
No, I
just
get that.
yeah. I mean, we did a thing this summer where we were trying to like my goal was just to get kids better, and we didn't really charge much, and it was too much. Like we probably won't do it again, but I mean I was literally doing all day and charged them like $6 a day basically, and like we were just working on hand fighting, motion, misdirection shots, combo shots, things that I thought would catapult them to the next level. Um, and just beating it into their head. And it wasn't like fun or flashy,
Yeah.
but it was like what it takes to be better. And so, and they were all ages, so like not every, and then they started like disappearing on me like as we went. It was too intense, and they were just like, "Stop showing up as much." And you're like, "I get it."
Well, I think there's still value in that. Like we did a camp this last year for our youth club, and it was more for like returning wrestlers. And we were just like, hey, we're just gonna bring all of our coaches in from like
Yeah,
across all of our youth levels in our high school, and we're just gonna show different things that like we'll have like a top day, we'll have a bottom day, we'll have like an upper body day, a neutral day. And we'll just show different things, and we'll do that twice, or I think we did it 3 times during the summer, but more just to kind of keep them busy and like still keep
yeah,
it kind of light and keep it fun. Because otherwise, it's like our youth kids are all at kind of all different levels. It's like,
yeah,
some of them are competing and training, some of them are going on vacation, and some of them are doing football and like other sports. So I
yeah,
think just trying to keep them around wrestling, but still trying to keep it fun.
yeah.
At the high school level, I kind of want to do this where it's like, I know St. Paris Graham did it with Jeff Jordan, where he would just basically like open up their room for like 2 weeks, and like
Yeah.
people from around the country can come and train with their guys, but they're just having practice. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? I think that would be great just because for one, you're getting to build relationships with people all over the place.
yeah.
Two, you're getting shown different technique, and then three, it's like you just get to work out with people that are a little bit different than you, training
I
wise.
think that part is really cool. I mean, like ultimately, I think we do a lot of the stuff like go to Fargo, train, go to these different tournaments, so that we can wrestle
Yeah,
and see different people and see. I mean, I think the coolest part for me to send a kid to Fargo is that they're gonna go and train and work with all the best kids in California, and they're gonna make relationships with kids that they don't know and from different parts of the state, um and they're gonna like basically get more culture in their system,
yeah.
if anything else, and they're gonna compete at one of the toughest tournaments in the country, and learn some valuable lessons hopefully. But I think to me it's not about the tournament itself, it's more about uh the journey of it all and the
For sure.
experience of training, and getting new exposures to different people and making relationships. I'm still friends with so many people that I didn't know until I was on the Fargo team with them, and then they went to wrestle in different colleges, and then we still stay friends, and you know
That's fun. Like it's like when you go to a wrestling tournament and you get to
yeah.
run to all your buddies and stuff and you
Oh
just
yeah.
start talking, like that's the best part. You feel like you just all those hours you spend away from your family and stuff, it's like it's cool to be around friends and like kind of like with the boys and people that you're relatively close with. You all
And
share
there's
that same
there's
interest.
like so many tournaments too, like Fargo, US Open, NCAA's. Like, you're gonna see everybody. Like,
Yeah.
you'll see like all these people I wrestled against, people I wrestled with. Like people that I knew from high school, people I knew from college, people I know from veteran worlds. Like, so it's just kind of like the wrestling world's small, and I feel like the more people you meet, the smaller it gets.
For sure. Like now, I've seen you around at competitions and stuff, and man, I've coached against you a couple different times, but it was cool. Pablo DeMario just was like, "Hey, you should get this guy. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it would be great to have Jimmy on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I do want to talk about your schedule. It seems like
Okay.
your schedule's pretty full.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Because it seems like have you been doing that for 15 years? And then plus you have a family too. Like I don't know, I would drive myself crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a kind of person I feel like that does good when I'm busy. Like if I have more time, I'm either all in or not at all. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, um, yeah, I mean, I'm obsessive compulsive when it comes to wrestling. Like I'm addicted to wrestling and like I'm obsessive. Um, and that's why sometimes when people ask me, "Oh, what's the secret?" or how have you done so well?" and these things, I'm like, and I don't say anything about like technique or my abilities. I'm like, the truth is like I'm willing to do what most people aren't, and I'm willing to think about wrestling and do wrestling and write up lineups and like dual meet stuff like at night. Like I'm obsessed. Like, and I'm going to every day work on thinking about pushing to get better. Um, and I'm thinking about how can I help this kid? How can I help that kid? What is he
Right.
missing? What do we need to work on Monday? Like all those things.
Your downtime is just constantly thinking about not only for you to improve, but for your
Yeah.
team to improve.
Right. And like and the kids are so small too. We now rolled them out in our living room
Nice.
and so they roll it up sometimes, but like now they're doing like cartwheels and rolls and sometimes I have a couple hours before I have to leave and the Baumgartner will be like uh Daddy, you want to wrestle me? And I was like, sure. And usually it's not when I want to, but he's like, "Yeah, you want to wrestle, Dad?" I'm like, "Sure, let's go." And then he wants to like throw me around. Uh, and then my daughter, she just started wanting to participate in us wrestling. So now like both of them will try to wrestle me at the same time. And it's like, but I mean, they're so cute and they're so young. It's like trying to like also like soak it all up because it won't always be so fun or cute.
No, for sure. And I think like being able to have that something that you guys get to share together, I think is a really important part of that. I see Steve Strange like always bringing his kids around,
Yeah.
and Carlo like his daughters are both wrestling, so it's pretty cool. Like it's something that I hope like my
Yeah.
kids end up
Yeah.
loving wrestling, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I just want them to be in love with something, you know.
Yeah, and it's such a hard thing. I saw Adam talk about it on your podcast, I think, where he was like, I just want my kids to like be able to want to go to NCAAs with me one day.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that's awesome. That's a great
that's a
goal.
nugget.
Yeah. I really like that. I mean anything Adam says I pretty much like. But yeah, I mean ultimately too, it's like I want them to love the sport like I do. My brothers wrestled and hate it. They hate wrestling. They hate, everything about it. They blame it for a lot of other reasons and for other things in their life. And I'm like, you missed it, dude. Like, and I think it's, mainly my dad's fault, but like, and he gets that, he, tried to treat them the same way he treated me. And I'm a different kind of person. And I'm the kind of person that you could yell at and scream at, and I'll just keep going. And
Yeah,
they're not like, and I think that's one thing that helped me a lot in coaching in general, I think, is that I've learned I can't coach anybody the same. And
right.
every kid has his own or her own temperament and their own sensitivities. And some kids like want you to yell at them and get in their face and yeah, go and then they're like, yeah, yeah. And then you got other kids who are like, I'm just gonna shut down if you yell at me.
Yeah,
Or I'm not doing anything. And I've learned like to learn, each kid and like how they work and how to appeal to them. And some ask a lot of good questions and some don't say anything. And you're like, you know, then I have to pry the questions out of them. I'm like, what were you thinking when you got in this situation? It's like, oh, that's this thing I could just muscle through it. All right, all right. Well, that didn't work. So, we'll try a different approach. But yeah, I think I learned a lot from my dad's mistakes. And, uh, and I think to me, like I think having kids old like I am, I feel like. has, and I've coached for 15 years, so I've seen so many different scenarios and friends and um, you know, you know, my coach Jerry, I was there when Jaden was born, not there, but I was,
Yeah.
on the team when Jaden was born, and so I remember him coming in at 2 and 3, and throughout the whole process of his growth and development, I talked to him about him, and I'd be like, oh, how are you handling this and how are you handling that, you know, and I know they had a lot of tough times, and so as a father son, I learned a lot from all those different scenarios of coaching your kid or teaching your kid and where the line is, like how hard is it to not want to coach your kid,
Yeah.
how hard is it to not be ultimately invested in their success. And um I think that's the real challenge for every parent. Even ones without wrestling experience, you're so committed to it, you learn so much, and then you're so invested emotionally and physically, and it's hard not to it's hard to take a step back and be like, what they need right now is somebody else to tell them.
Yeah. No, and I see that with like we've had quite a few dads on our team that are also coaches. And it's interesting kind of just because they all kind of tackle it a little bit differently.
Yeah,
And they've also had multiple kids within our program. So it's interesting seeing them reflect and like we have those conversations.
yeah,
That's a big why I do this podcast is like,
yeah,
man, if I can just learn a little something, like
yeah,
it's more like artificial maturity just because I haven't
for sure.
experienced it all yet. But it's like, if I can just get a little bit more information, and that way, when it's time for me to go through it, like it's going to help me out. And it's funny because there's a lot of younger coaches that I'm kind of close with that watch this podcast and stuff, and they're
Yeah,
like, dude, like I'm glad you asked that question because I've been trying
yeah.
to figure it out. So it's been
And
fun, man.
I've been doing the same thing too. Like,
Yeah,
obviously I'm just now having kids, and we have our third one on the way. And I'm like, but I feel like having done this without kids for a long time and being like, oh, I'm never going to do that. Or, oh, I see where they messed up. Or I really like what they did. And I do this thing all the time. I ask different coaches, like older coaches, definitely ones that who are like mentoring me and stuff like that. I'll ask them like, all the time. Like Clint Birch is like one
yeah,
of my favorite dudes. Like in Fargo, we used to be on the staff together a bunch, and he loves giving me advice. And I'm always asking him questions. His son wrestled, and I'd ask him like, hey, now that he's graduated, what would you change? Like, if you could change anything, what would you do? And then I also ask him, what do you think you did best? Like, out of all the stuff, what was like a nugget that was like, hey, if we didn't do this, things would have been different. And he told me some great stuff. And one of the things I love that he said was he had said their big thing was on the way to the tournament and the way back, they weren't allowed to talk about wrestling. It was
nice. Yeah,
nothing. And then he said sometimes it's really hard, and he's like, and sometimes you sit there and you're like, yeah, I really want to say
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something. And he's
Especially
like,
after,
yeah. Or sometimes the kid wants to say something and he's like, well, what do you think? Hey, you want to go fishing, after the season? Or, what do you think about this or that? And try to change the subject.
yeah,
Things like that, Um, it's just interesting too, it's like you get other people's perspective and you try to learn from. I've been a big fan of learning from other people's mistakes, my uncles, my dad, like throughout my life. I think I'm lucky to like be like I don't have to make my own mistake. I'll believe you guys. Most
yeah,
people don't. Most people have to learn themselves, and like I got to make this mistake on my own. And I think I've benefited a ton from having a long history of wrestling in my family, from all my mom's brothers to all my dad's brothers to their uncles to all my cousins, like all wrestled. And so growing up, it was always like this sob story, that sob story. I could have been a contender, and don't be like me, kid. And so I took those to heart. I literally was like, well, I don't want to have regrets. Like,
Yeah,
when I was in high school, as a young high school kid, and not many people think like that in high school, but I was like, I'm gonna wrestle every match like it's my last. You never know what's gonna happen. And when I played football, I remember I played every down like it was my last because I knew I wasn't gonna play after high school, and I loved
for sure.
football. And I was like, I'm gonna get every tackle. I don't care if it's 20 yards down the field. I don't care if it's I'm out of the play. I'm gonna get up and run to that play. And that's how I played. And my coaches were always like, I never met a kid like this, like but I knew I wasn't gonna play football anymore. And I wanted to leave it all on the field, And s- greatly I don't have regrets about, especially about football or even much about high school. Like in general in wrestling, I feel like I overachieved and I worked my butt off and um I don't know if I'd do it too much different. There are some aspects that I feel like I would do better, like cutting weight. Um,
Yeah.
in college too. College, I obviously I think I'd do more things differently, but cutting weight again, I would do better. Um,
Well, all those things just kind of make you a better coach.
yeah,
I think there's one thing to be said, but from learning from others, but there's a whole other thing. It's like if you can go through it yourself and learn from
yeah,
it from your own experience, like that just makes it that much
absolutely.
better of a lesson.
And sometimes they don't always listen because you're like, who wants to say, oh, you made this mistake. Why should I listen to you? Like, I don't want to make that mistake. Like, then learn from mine. And I'm like, be the guy who's smart enough to learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah. You always regret the things you don't do a lot more than the things that you do.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that, and it's funny. So I did a little bit of like theater and stuff when I moved to California from Illinois, and it was a little bit of a culture shock. So like being in that kind of environment, I thought was really cool because theater people are a little bit more open and like
Outgoing.
yeah,
Yeah.
outgoing, and it kind of got me out of my shell.
Mhm.
But I had a friend that was doing it in high school, and I ended up breaking my wrist my junior year playing football, and wrestled through it the whole year. And after I had surgery, I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do? And my buddy convinced me to try out for the musical, and I was like, dude,
Uh,
I'm so glad I did it. I did it
yeah.
for that year and then the next year. Um, Talk about like there's so many similarities I feel like between getting ready to go on stage and like
Oh yeah.
kind of doing your pre-match routine and
Oh, for
like
sure.
breathing and even before the podcast, like I do like some talking stuff to get my voice
Yeah.
warmed up. Um, Talk about some of those similarities, man. Like I feel like it's such a cool gift and a cool experience to be able to go through that.
Yeah, like I remember in college because I was doing acting as a little kid, and then community theater, and then I did acting classes, and I think my mom really wanted me to act and not wrestle. And then my dad, like when I went to go live with him, things kind of changed. But um, I tried out for a play in high school, my freshman year, didn't make it. Was kind of embarrassed. I was like, F this, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I just wrestled and just focused on wrestling. Then I was a senior, and I did it. I had to take an extra class, and I had like an elective. So I took the acting class because I was like, oh, this will be fun. And
Yeah,
so I started doing improv, and my teacher loved me. She's like, you're so good at improv. Do you want to join our improv team? And I was like, sure, why not? And then we went to the junior college, and we won the
nice.
competition for improv. And she's like, try out for the play, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like I go, I'm wrestling like nonstop. I go, I'm going into Germany, I'm going to high school nationals and all this stuff. I don't have time to rehearse. She's like, I'll give you a small part. And she's like, you don't have to rehearse the first like few weeks. When you come back, we'll throw you in. It'll be easy for you to pick it up. And I said, all right, fine, I'll do it. And
Nice.
I did it, and I had a small part, and I learned all the dance numbers, and it was actually a musical also. I didn't
Which
stay.
one?
The Pajama Game.
I don't know that one.
Oh, it's an older play for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, they did it in high school, and then I did it, and then she was like, when you go to college, she's like, I know you're gonna wrestle. She's like, but you should act. She's like, you're really gifted, and I was like, oh, thanks. We'll see. And so I go to school, and my freshman year, my grades weren't good enough because I never took school serious, sadly. Which I always tell the kids, like I was the number two recruit in the country coming out of high school, and I was like recruited by a bunch of schools. I couldn't go to any of them. I could only go to Fresno State or a
Yeah.
state school because they had a Prop 48 at the time, which was they let you in on probation and you could prove yourself after a year, which I ultimately changed my life because I was like, well, I'm gonna take school serious now. And I got straight A's and I
Yeah.
graduated in 3 years and got a master's. And but my freshman year I couldn't practice with the team. I was like a prop 48, so I was like a probational wrestler.
So
So
they couldn't, you didn't have like a roster spot or anything like that?
nope, couldn't even
Dang.
practice with the team.
Dang, man.
Yeah, and I had a special practice with Stephen Abbas, Yaru Washington, and
Okay.
my buddy Ben Martinez. And the four of us, trained because they were training for the Olympics in 2000. So I trained with them, which was kind of cool. It was a different, they beat me up mainly, but it was a cool thing. And then I started coaching at Clovis High School with Steve Terapelli. And I was, Steve watched me wrestle the year before, and he loved me, and he was like, "Come help us." I just wrestled with all their guys, and
It's
um,
hard to say no to Steve, I
yeah,
feel
Steve's
like.
awesome. And he taught me so much. I can't believe, to be honest, like how much of the coaching stuff I stole from him or like philosophy. He taught me so much, so much. And as a wrestler, he taught me a lot too. And I was just basically like a guy wrestling with all the kids. I wrestled with Alex a ton. I wrestled with
Nice.
Garrett Spooner. Actually, I like to take a little bit of credit for Garrett winning state because he wrestled the kid that I wrestled in my league the year before. And I
Oh,
and I
nice.
used to beat the kid a lot. And then he was the number one kid in the state, and Garrett had him like in the quarterfinals or something. And I basically taught him how to beat him. And he did. He did exactly what I said, and he beat the kid, and he ended up winning state. And he was like a JV wrestler the year before,
That's awesome.
and Garrett ended up being
Wow.
awesome, and went to Fresno State with me and wrestled for us too there.
Nice.
But yeah, so I was just like a guy on the team wrestling all the kids, and I would wrestle it all the way up to Clint Walbeck, who was the heavyweight, and I'd wrestle everybody. But I just coach with them and help the little kids and learn so much, so much. And every year after that, like Steve, when I started coaching, Steve would always like impart wisdom on me and like be like, I ask him questions and be like, oh man, he's like, it's a numbers game. You have to have a X amount of freshmen that come
Yeah.
out and then they'll last till they're a senior and hopefully you've developed them in 4 years and a ton of stuff. Like he taught me so much. But that year I couldn't practice or anything, so I was like, I'm gonna try out for a play.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I
Wait,
tried.
wait. So hold on. So you can't be on a sports team, but you get to be in a theater production? Like, was it a community thing or was it on campus?
No, it was a legitimate play for the school. Um,
That doesn't make sense if you're not. All right, whatever.
yeah,
You know?
but I think because I got in for athletics, it
Okay.
was like you're now on probation for athletics. I'm on an athletic scholarship. I actually, and the crazy part was my freshman year I wasn't allowed to get a scholarship either, but then the next year I got like 90%.
So it was kind of like a word, like, hey, get eligible and we'll give you a
Yeah.
scholarship the
Well, I
following year.
signed a letter of commitment, but then I was a Prop 48, so I guess they saved a year of scholarship on me.
Huh.
Um,
Okay.
so then, yeah, I do the play, or I auditioned for the play. I got in it.
Nice.
And it was called Soon Yet Sun. It was an original play by a professor at our school. He wrote it about the Chinese Revolution. And he was like loved me as a character, as a wrestler. He was like, "Oh, I want you to be this henchman. I want you to be like a knife guy and kill people on stage."
Was it the Communist Revolution?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So
Soon
you're
Yet
like
Sun.
Mao's like knife guy, basically?
Yeah, basically.
Nice.
So yeah, and then the play ended up getting nominated for a Pulitzer, and he took the play, the professor did, to Thailand for a year, and they toured and they paid the people in the play, and he was like, "You got to go with us to Thailand," and I was like, "I can't." I go, "I'm on scholarship, like I'm wrestling, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a world team, like I have plans, and I'm like, I can't just drop everything and go to Thailand for a year, which it would have been an awesome freaking experience." And he was so mad at me about it. And like kind of wrote me off. And I didn't do another play till for the entire time I was at school until I graduated the first time and I was a junior. I graduated and in my third year, and then I took an Olympic red shirt. And I was training, I broke my arm. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So then I come back in 2005 and I'm getting a master's degree and I don't have any classes during the day. And so I was like, well, let me take some acting classes because I haven't taken any since my freshman year. And so I had a professor who was unbelievable. He remembered me from my freshman year. I took a class with him and he liked me, thought I had a lot of talent, and he was like, I asked him if I could take this intermediate class without taking the prerequisite, and because it was the only one I could fit in my schedule, and he was like, "I'll let you do it because I like you." And
Let's
I said,
go.
okay, cool. And I took it, and I just like opened my world, and I was like, "Man, this is awesome. I
Yeah.
love this." And then I started taking every class they offered, and I took, Shakespeare classes. I took advanced acting. I took directing. I took, screenwriting class. I took a film acting class. And then, I wrestled my last year and I didn't do any plays or anything because in 2005, I came back and wrestled. And then I didn't do any plays because I was practicing all the time. Then 2006, I was a grad assistant for Fresno State and I was coaching. And then I was getting a minor in theater.
Nice.
And then I was like, because I was just like into the theater. Um, and then they dropped the program after '06, and I was like, man, I guess this is a sign that I need to really go all in on acting. So then I finished my master's degree in English, and then I got another degree in theater. Took every class they offered 2, 3 times just because I loved it. And I was in 7 plays in one year. I directed 3 plays at the school. I was the head of the student run uh, theater company that
Yeah.
produced its own plays. I directed one of the ones that we produced, was acting in another. I did like so many plays and I just was like eating it all up. And eventually they're like, we can't let you take this class for a third time. And I was like, why not? They're like, oh, because other people who need to graduate need the class. And I
Yeah.
was like, but I need it. Like, I'm gonna learn something new this time. And then I'm like, I'm gonna look at it from a different perspective. And they're like, nah, time to move on. So then when I got my theater degree and my master's, I ended up going to LA and, starting to act and stuff like that and trying it in this crazy, crazy acting world.
Yeah, it's kind of cutthroat. It's Ian Elms. I know CCB guy was talking about it.
Yeah.
I actually watched his movie with Mel Gibson. It was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
like some of the stuff that like I feel like it's kind of common actually with education is like there are things that they ask you to do that maybe kind of go against a little bit of your morals, and you kind of have to make that choice. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
what's the best course here. Um, but
Yeah,
man,
I
what
mean,
what an experience though.
yeah, it's so hard too, doing the acting stuff too. Like you're constantly being put in the situation of like uh what I said I would do versus what I want to do versus what's the right thing to do,
Yeah,
And I think it kind of hurt me a lot as an actor in LA where I would if I said I was gonna do this play with you, I'm gonna do the play. Even though I got cast in a movie that shoots at the same time, I couldn't actually do the play. Um, I'm not gonna actually do the movie because I said I would do the play. Like I literally produced my own play that I wrote and I directed, and then I was producing it, and then I had an opportunity to be in Foxcatcher, and they wanted me to fly to Pennsylvania for a second audition, and I was like, I can't miss this play. Like I literally,
yeah.
people are counting on me, and I'm not just gonna bail on it to be in a movie that I really want to be in. So I passed up the opportunity and
Dang.
did the play, and but it was awesome play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think it goes back to it's like, who do you want to be? And it's like if you want to be somebody that's totally locked in and being a man of your word,
yeah,
man, like what an example, just for yourself in the future,
yeah,
but then also for the guys, hopefully your high school team's watching this, and they're paying
yeah,
attention. Like,
yeah.
what kind of person do you want to be?
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part. I think especially about the acting world is you're constantly being oppressed with that, and you constantly see other people pick what's
Oh. cut out.
Yeah,
There we go. No, it happens. We're good.
I was like
Um,
looking at it, I was like, oh shoot, it says 5%.
That's okay. It
Yeah,
happens all the time. There was one I did with Eric Thompson. He's an assistant for
yeah,
yeah, for ASU. He
yeah,
we were talking and he kept saying it's like, dude, there's a ring. Like, can you hear it? I'm like, I can't hear it. But it was his AirPod and it had this loud ring. So when I actually went to go and like cut it, dude,
yeah.
it was like 30 minutes of us talking had that loud ring in the background. But
No. Why don't you have clothes on? Put your clothes on. Sorry.
no, you're good. Well, Coach, I know it's family time, but I do want to ask you one more question just about this upcoming season
Yeah, yeah,
for Birmingham. So obviously, there's a lot of expectations for from the outside on like how you guys are going to perform this year, and you guys have a lot of good guys. These big transfers came in, and
yeah.
dude, like how exciting is that got to be? But all this we're talking about the process, like how do you kind of keep that outside noise kind of away because you know, like, all right, for us to do and reach our potential, we kind of just got to stay
Mm.
locked in.
It's different year, different challenges, Um, from the outside, things probably look really like, oh, like this is gonna be easier, or man, with all these guys, it's gonna be awesome. And honestly, it's like more new challenges, so many new challenges, and trying to get everybody to, you know, operate a certain way, trying to get everybody, sorry,
No, you're good.
trying to get everybody to get on the same page, to buy in 100%. That's a challenge. And so many different characters and personalities and parents and whatnot. I mean, as you guys know, I'm sure you guys have had your fair share. Um, it's just a different quality and challenge that happens, that when I had all these kids and some of the parents I hadn't ever met or didn't ever care what we did. I got parents being like, they need to go this weight class and they should be the A guy, and you're like, um, well, they have to earn the spot. There's
Yeah.
a process. That's not how it works. Um, the kid's currently the D guy, so he's got to beat the guys ahead of him. But he should be the A guy. Like, he's not.
Yeah.
And I don't see him being the A guy, but he's got to get better. Let's focus on getting better, you know. So I think that's really it's a big challenge, and it's a different challenge, which is hard because um I've had to shift how I do things, how I run practice. It's all shifted slightly in the last year, and then this year even more so. Um I have 130 kids on the team, roughly, boys, girls. I run both teams. I and I'm invested in all of them, even the kids that are this E and F kids on our lineup. Like, I want them to get better. I want them to develop. I want them to be better people. I want them to operate a certain way. I want them to be accountable. I want them to be responsible. Like, all those things, they take energy. And it's hard. It's really hard. But I think, uh, I have shifted my thinking a little bit. I think in different from years past, um, I am not as worried about things I can't control as much. And I think I'm really trying to delineate my time in a way that I'm not wasting it, or fighting battles that aren't worth fighting. Or I think every kid is important, but in the past, I used to fight for every kid to stay on the team and not quit and not
Yeah.
be a bum, or like be irresponsible and skip practice. But now I'm kind of at a place where, like, I don't got time for you young kids who are just starting um, to not show up or not care or all that. I'm like, I'm not wasting my time chasing you or begging you to do something you don't want to do. If you don't want to wrestle, leave. Like, uh,
Yeah.
I don't got the energy to be. begging you to be a better person and be a great athlete. Like if you don't want to do that, then I'm not gonna fight every inch of it. And so like I think that's a little different. I've also um I split the practices. I'm not really coaching the JV kids as much as I used to. Um Now I'm really focusing on the varsity kids, the elite kids, really trying to up the level of that practice and segregated them a ton. And there's a big shift too. I'm only letting A and B kids in the practice, and then
Yeah.
so you got C kids that are on the verge, and they're close, and this guy beat that guy, and that guy beat that guy, and I want to be in the A practice, and I get it. Get better. Um, Show me something. Show me that you
Make
can
it
do
make
it.
it undeniable, you
Yeah.
know?
And that our kids, because we have so many, they really care about if they're D or E or F. Like, I could beat the D guy. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see on Friday. Um, and so they're battling for all the spots. I think it keeps them uh goal oriented to move up on the board and things like that. But yeah, I mean it's a challenge, and um it's interesting thing too, because I know a lot of people like are talking about like SIE coming. But like, to me, he's not really a transfer, really. I mean, his
Yeah.
siblings all wrestled at Birmingham.
We know, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm like,
Not everybody knows, man, but
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm like, when people are like, oh, they got a big transfer, I'm like, not really. I mean, he just kind of went where he should have went in the first place. So, that is what it is, I guess. But he's awesome. Like he's a great kid, and he's a pleasure to coach because he literally wants to get better every day, and like and he's really receptive, and the way his mind's working, he's really taking in being more dynamic, and using what he does well to set up other moves, and have that move set up another move, and then that move connect to this move, connect to that move, and then come back to the original move, and trying to get him to move his mind into an even higher level, is actually really awesome to do, and to work with him, because I mean, I've been working with him since he was little, but like his mind is at a place right now where he's ready to take another big step, um technically. And so I'm excited to see him do it, like, because I think he's going to surprise people with how dynamic he's becoming. Him and a few other kids on our team, obviously. We have so
He's
many.
owning his wrestling a lot, is what it sounds like. He's owning it and he's making it his. And I think when you can do that, man,
Yeah,
like that's fun.
yeah. And he went Super 32, but he wasn't 100%, and so that was tough. He didn't practice for like 2 weeks, and then he tried to go out there and do his best, and it was hard. I mean, he was like dying, and like trying to suck up his energy and he doesn't wrestle like slow at all. Like he goes hard the whole time. So it's like, in between rounds, he's looking at me like, I don't know if I can make it. I'm like, you're doing great, dude. Let's just one move at a time. Let's just get one takedown. Like, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I think too, like, obviously, like, you could ask me what's one of the key factors to the evolution of the program, of the area, of our coaching. There's a lot of elements for sure. Things I've been doing for a long time that are finally kind of paying off, or years of hard work. But I do feel like, since the training center started, the World Team Training Center, like, um we had a goal to, like, I really always wanted to do something where, like, it's not just about our school or our program, but it's about the community. Like, I want to make LA a really awesome wrestling place,
Hmm.
which I've always seen the potential. Um, but doing something like the training center, uh, I think it's like the doorway to LA becoming like such an awesome place for wrestling.
Yeah.
And the thing, I think it's like literally a catapult to um the next level of what our area, and not just our team, but the teams around us, could be, and the level of wrestling. I mean, and the international guys that we have coming in coaching. I trained my worlds this year. I did everything different, and once we opened the facility, I changed my weightlifting dynamic. I stopped lifting heavy. I've been like, I'm a big heavy lifter.
Yeah.
I could squat 745 pounds, but I stopped doing that altogether because at the gym we started using all these like super cat, Soviet, Russian, high impact or low impact, high like fast twitch, explosive
Hmm.
movement kind of
Yeah.
machines. And I'm like, and I'll do this machine where I push it, like just push it as hard as I can, and I'll put like 200 pounds on there, and I'm like, just like trying to throw this thing against the wall, and it's making my explosive movements so like strong, and my getting my fast twitch activated. So I'm like, I'm actually being quicker and more explosive than I was 10 years ago, and I'm doing like these squat jumps in the machine. There's just and you put some weight on it, and I just try to jump as high as I can, and doing kinetic pauses and like holds and things
Yeah.
like that. It's like squeezing a ball. Like I'm just like, and we have a couple like trainers, like physical trainers who come in and work with the kids and stuff like that. It's a game changer. Like it's just,
Yeah.
and like battling injuries and battling wanting to lift, ego lifting, and I'm like, I'm gonna do 600 pounds on this thing, and now my back's killing me because my spine's getting compressed. And I've got videos of me lifting in the weight room with the kids at 6 in the morning, and I've got like a bar that's bending, two kids on each side, like holding the plates so they don't
Oh my
fall off.
gosh.
And like me getting one rep and being like, and I'm like, what am I? Why?
Well,
Like,
that resistance training that becomes so like popular, and it's funny you say like the I think you said the old, I don't want to say it, the old Soviet, is that what you said, the
yeah,
old yeah,
it's
I
like
mean
a
that's how they train
Soviet
though.
based like training that they use. Yeah.
Functional strength, you
Yeah.
know.
And yeah,
Um,
everything's functional now. We're literally doing everything that's functional. We have like every cool toy you could imagine. Like I don't
nice.
know that anybody has a gym like this, like where like the 360 machine, it's like two like handles and you can move them in all directions,
That's
and
awesome.
very like wrestling kind of
And
orient.
building like your shoulder stability, because it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, I think everybody like I can't. It's
Yeah.
hard for me to raise my arms up, elbows
Yeah.
past my head. But I feel like that's got to be so good for your shoulder stability and
It
stuff.
really is. Like, and the harder you do it, the faster you do it, the more resistance. And we got dopamine bands. I've been
Yeah,
using so many dopamine bands. Like, are we incorporating into our workouts? Like, um, you know, I'm able to do. We have like two unbelievable Greco coaches that are like European champs and world champs. And one of the guys used to be Armenian, like youth world team coach. And I was training with him. He's wanting to wrestle with me like top bottom, and like I would just jump into practice and do their practice. And I had some veteran buddies of mine fly out and train with me. My buddy Rudy James, who's a world champ, he came and trained with me for a weekend, and like we just did the class, and I was able to kind of jump in and wrestle with the kids, and like um
nice.
and I did some stuff too, like as you get older, you have to like shift how you train. Like I don't run anymore. I never run. Like I was a running machine when I was a kid. I ran all the time, and I went to my first veterans. I was like, oh man, and my hamstring. I struggle with my hamstring, and I was asking one of these older guys, I was like, how do you deal with stuff like that? He's like, first of all, I haven't ran in 30 years. He's like, I don't run anymore. And I was like, oh shoot, really? And so I do elliptical. We have this
Yeah,
really, really cool machine at the gym. It's like it's a treadmill, but it's not like plugged in. There's no like electric part. It's like you push it to start going, and then it has like a brake on it, and it's inclined. So there's a brake, and you like move the lever, and if you put more resistance, it'll force you to run fast, like sprint. And
yeah.
if you
That's
put
cool.
more resistance, you have to like push it and you hold the like front thing and you like push it to like move the treadmill.
Yeah. So
And
it's like a sled, like kind of like pushing a sled
it's a
almost.
lot like that. And it
That's
also
awesome.
has two handles where you could do like farmer carries. And like you could pick up, put weights on it and pick it up
That's
and
sick.
walk.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's pretty awesome. I did that thing a lot when I was training for the Worlds. Because I could just walk on there and like I'd be gushing sweat because I was pushing the treadmill like with resistance and then switch to like carrying a plate and then walking and then, you know, going faster and slower. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty awesome, and I also started drilling a ton. Like you know, and the kids would ask me too, like, oh, when I was wrestling as a kid, like, what was the key to my success? And here's like a an interesting thing because I always hear this, and I'm sure you hear it too, with gyms and with crazy dads and with um, high school programs. Everybody will tell you that they're chasing good partners, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty much, and I think there's this like unwritten like thing about for kids, like, oh, I'm a dad and I have a kid, I want to be good. Well, what's the formula for me to have a great kid? Well, I have to go around from club to club and find great partners and chase the partners. And if I have the best partners, then I'm gonna have the best kid. Not true. I mean, I really feel like that's a huge fallacy. Not that because like the truth is at the end of the day, the 12-year-old kid that my kid's wrestling with isn't teaching him anything. And
Right.
the at the end of the day, if I have too many really good kids, which we've seen some people kind of have this issue where they have too many good kids, nobody's actually trying to learn or get better. They're all trying to win and they're all trying to battle to the death with every takedown and they're looking at their dads who are watching them and yelling at them and you're like, how is this the best way for me to get better? I don't, and it's really not. But when I was a kid, I didn't have a ton of great partners. I had a couple really good uh, kids that we kind of pulled, like family friends that we kind of pulled in, and they were younger than me, and they ended up being really, really good. And but they weren't like all like they were younger than me and smaller than me. So that wasn't like I had all these great partners who were my weight and challenging me. I wrestled in high school a lot. I wrestled with my 170 pounder, and then I even wrestled the heavyweight sometimes. And I didn't have a ton of people who could challenge me. Like my dad would bring in people occasionally, and what we do for partners is we go to good tournaments and chase people down and wrestle them in the tournament, and then I would drill my moves. And I'll tell anybody like the reason why I was really good was because of one of my work ethic, but two was because of drilling. Like I drilled like a lunatic.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean my dad gave me an allowance per week based on how many moves I hit. So if and back then it
It's
was
good
only
incentive.
yeah, I mean it was I didn't do chores, like I did moves. And if I hit I think it would start off at the beginning of the year. If I hit 1,000 moves a week, I get $20. And then when we got to like postseason, it'd be like 10,000 a week. And it would just go up and up and up. But I'd start my morning off at like 6 in the morning. I'd get up and I'd go drill 20 each side of like four different moves in the garage by myself, just reps. He had made me do it where I had to do them perfect, or it wouldn't count. And there was like a very specific way I had to do everything. And he would watch me at the beginning, and then he'd just listen at the door sometimes. Um, After a while, and then I kind of got into this thing where I knew if I went like super hard and intense, I'd get them done faster. And so I would do them perfect, but with intensity. And then I wrestled the exact way I drilled. And then after practice, we do our whole practice, and I had to do another session of all my moves. And I just get against the wall. I hated partners. I honestly didn't want a partner because it would slow me down. and they wouldn't move the right way. And in my mind, I'd get them to sprawl and crack them down or double up, and I could be more efficient. And I would just get against the wall and drill my shots. Usually do like high crotch, and I do two in a row because I could get double the amount in at the same time, and so I could be way more efficient. So I actually practice combo moves every day because I knew I could do more moves that way, and my number would go faster. And so I literally did, and everybody who ever wrestled with me, they would be like, they could attest that I would stay after practice and drill every day by myself. And no matter where I went, no matter what practice I went to, and I drilled morning and night. And I went from being a soft, never, nobody ever accused me of being really strong until more recently. But uh, I was never strong. I was never intimidating in any way. But I could hit a high crotch faster than anybody and a fireman's with such precision. People couldn't stop it. And like that's what I try to tell the kids is like be a student of the sport, right? Drill. You have to do 10,000 moves before your body before you stop thinking.
Technically, mastery is you have to do what 10,000 hours or something like that,
Yeah.
But
And if I want to not think about the move anymore, I want the guy to grab my head and I grab his elbow and I just throw it and hit my high crotch crazy fast or hit my fake to my high crotch. Then I have to do it so many times that my body is just used to that motion and grabbing the elbow. And once I grab it, my body like snaps and goes.
yeah, where you don't even have to think about it.
And you know what the sad part is the last like 7 times I went to Worlds, I didn't drill. And this time I drilled. I was like, I'm gonna drill, and I'm not trying to wrestle every day, every match with the kids because I'll end up hurting myself.
Yeah.
But I would go like, okay, let me grab this alumni kid and let's do a drill match. Let's just drill 2 and 2. Or I'd say like, let me grab like SIE and I'm gonna drill easy in, hard out. Or let me grab Craig and we're gonna do a drill sesh, and um, I'm gonna fake you and then hit my shot and finish it. And when I get in, defend me and give me a look, and then I'll work for my finish and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff, man. I feel like there's so much, Jimmy, I still want to talk to you about, but
Yeah,
we could go all night, man. So
yeah.
before we log off, you got anything else before we end it?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to the season. The challenges and all. We have a crazy awesome dual schedule and what do you call it? Tournament schedule. We're looking at maybe dueling Esperanza, Bakersfield, uh, maybe Buchanan at like the Camarillo 10 way, and Granite Hills, Paloma Valley, um, what's it called? Golden Valley. A lot of really good matches. So, um, I always had this kind of strategy of, if you're not your best solid team, do less duels. If you're really good, do as many duels as you can. So, we're kind of heading towards the more duel. What's it called? The philosophy.
Yeah, no,
But
that's a great schedule.
yeah. So, I'm excited though. I think honestly, I'm really excited about the future, about the training center, about our program in general, evolution of the sport, and kind of like pushing forward and like just getting better every day. I try to tell the kids our philosophy is show up every day, get better every day. Just a little bit. Just get a little better, a little stronger. Like that's all you have to do.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Jimmy. Appreciate you, man. And we gotta do this again. This was
Oh, for
fun.
sure. Whenever you want. I'm happy to jump on. It's a
Awesome.
blast.
Sounds good, man.
All right.
And that was Jimmy Medeiros. Again, if you guys have been following along, we really appreciate it. If you guys can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we are also on Spotify and all major social media platforms. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time.